Hey everyone, welcome to Bad Storytellers, a podcast about a small group of writers in Titusville, Florida. I'm your host, Josh LaForge, and with me today is Liam Malone,
YOLO,
Doug Banks,
Hello.
and Max Wessel.
I'm from New Jersey.
When you said YOLO, I thought you were trying to say hello backwards or something.
No,
I'm like, I get it now. He's just trying to be.
Oh yeah.
I'm saying YOLO because when I say it, it always means you only Liam once.
That sounds very sad.
Well, I think that's because
That's what my 3 ex-girlfriends said.
the medical bills start piling up.
To be fair, I have 5. I have 5 ex-girlfriends, a whole 5.
So, we typically start off the podcast by discussing the media we consumed in the time between this and our last meeting. Then we move on to our own writing samples and the projects we're working on. And then at the end of each episode, we construct a film from the ether by rolling dice. And then we pitch it to each other and record the trailer for your listening pleasure.
Some might even say that's the best part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody has said that's the best part, but some may.
Someone could say it. Sure.
Yes, in the future.
In fact, by the way, we have bad story trailers or bad storytellers at gmail.com, right?
Yes.
You should message us with
Tell
stuff.
us.
Yeah, let us know what you think of the show. Speaking of which,
In fact, be a dick. I don't care.
we got our first
Ooh.
email
Woohoo!
from a good friend of the show members, Joe. All right, Joe says to us, love the show, even though I hate writing. 5-star reviews incoming. So those
I
of you,
think it's safe to say we all hate writing. We just wish
Yeah.
it was done already.
yeah, no.
It's like sitting down and doing it's a pain
I
in the
think
ass.
Joe is not. He's not going to be a writer.
No.
Like we're trying to be writers. But you know what? Maybe our failure is interesting to non-writers, right? It might be even validated.
Schadenfreude to other writers.
Right. Or it might just be like, oh, I'm
fact-
so glad I didn't.
So glad I'm not
I'm
there.
gonna pitch this right now. We just changed the name of the
To-
podcast to Schadenfreude Podcast.
Or a cautionary tale.
a friend said because we're 4 white guys, we should have changed it to Right People Problems.
That would be good.
yeah.
Well, that's pretty good.
And I have more user feedback too. My friend Ivy said she really enjoyed the Star Trek episode because she
cool.
likes Star Trek. She's like, yeah, that was the thing that finally got me to actually listen to your stupid podcast. And I was like, thank you.
Should have
Thank
put
you,
Star Trek
Ivy.
in the title.
Oh yeah.
That probably would have worked, right?
So, what about retractions?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
All right.
We have
None.
5.
That's what happens when I'm not here.
All right, they're
Doug is
small.
our moral compass.
So the first book in the Expanse series that Liam talked about is Leviathan Wakes.
Dope.
Also, the Jackie Chan John Cusack movie about ancient Romans in China is Dragon Blade. It also stars Adrian Brody.
No, it
Because that makes sense.
It is about a struggle to control the Silk Road between Rome and China.
Yeah, FBI took that thing down.
God damn it.
Gotcha.
You mean FBI stole a bunch of money from it?
And that's the
extorted-
Doug I've missed, everyone.
Put up a fall guy and all that shit.
yeah, exactly. And that guy is now in prison for life.
Yeah.
Kim.org.
For making a website. Think about that. Also, there was a Bill and Ted comic book series called Bill and Ted's Excellent Comic. It was published by Marvel in 1991 and ran for 12 issues. And more recently, the comic book series Bill and Ted's Most Triumphant Return was published by Boom Studios and may still be ongoing, although its 6th and most recent issue was released back in August of 2015.
Does that make them eligible to be in Marvel vs. Capcom?
Well, no, I think they have to be
Yeah.
Marvel properties. I'm not sure that they are. I think they are licensed to Marvel.
Although that would be cool.
I think I'd rather play as one of the robots that Station made.
A Bill and Ted fighting game in period would just
be
be
good.
Yeah.
Just historical figures.
All their characters?
Except for you play as Death and you lose everything all the time. So American Gods is being adapted into a television series, not a film. As we talked about, it said they're making a film. Nope, it's a television series.
Oh, okay.
It is currently in pre-production and set to debut in 2017.
I like that better.
I think they announced who the main actor is going to be.
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
No, I forget who it is, but he's a black guy.
Yeah, who cares? If he's a good actor.
Lots of people on the internet care.
According to the Oscars, which aired last night, a ton of people care. So Worf's bandolier is called a baldric. And that's it.
Those are pretty minor. I'm feeling
They're
pretty
more
good.
clarifications,
Yeah, I'm
right?
feeling pretty good.
The main one that was actually a retraction has got to be the Bill and Ted thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that being a baldric.
Yes.
All right.
So
Well, baldric is something you hang weapons off of. I don't know. I've never seen him.
he hasn't, but it apparently in the actual description of the show.
That's what a Klingon would use to hang a weapon off of, like a
well,
batleth.
They called it a baldric. Maybe on the back. Maybe that's
No,
where they
just
kept
straight
it
on your hip. Boom.
Yeah, maybe.
Or knives, like on the front, like
Yeah.
like a ceremonial thing.
That's a terrible place to store a knife.
Yeah.
For ceremonial purposes.
No,
though.
yeah, I mean, yeah, even in ceremonial purpose. How many times does somebody trip in a wedding?
Kind of
about
too
it.
many.
Yeah, way too many times. What about you guys? What are you watching, reading, and doing?
I started watching House of Cards because Tony got finished with Mad Men and he was like, I need a new show. And I was like, let's watch House of Cards.
Which
So
one?
watching that.
Tony is Liam's roommate.
Yes. The Netflix version
Okay.
with
Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey
Haven't seen it.
is good.
I've only seen up to the 3rd episode, and I was like, yeah, you know, it looks really well made. Kevin Spacey's great. It's just not for me.
I have a distinct opinion on why I will not watch that one as opposed to the British one.
And what is that?
Let's
Because
hear
the
it.
British one is parliamentary system, which is like a made up fantasy land that I don't have to think is real. Whereas
Really?
House of Cards is real,
I
it makes me sad.
I have the opposite of it because I tried watching the British one and I couldn't wrap my head around the intricacies because there was there was a lot of like nobility versus common birth kind of shit,
Yeah.
Oh,
which
yeah.
too as an American pisses me off to no end whenever I hear that. Even in fantasy, it kind of rubs me the wrong way. And then when they're like, oh no, and then also this is modern and this still exists, it
And it's also
Angers me.
It is a much more common plot for an American series for somebody to rise up out of that.
out of nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the British one, there's a moment where he's at the Chequers, which is where the prime minister is like a country estate he gets to use, and the guy goes there and he's like, "Oh yeah, quaint," and then he goes to his estate because he is a lord, and he's just like,
Boom.
"Booyah!"
See, that's what makes me think everything should just be like Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the movie? Like, there's no more
Yes.
perfect rags to riches, shoving it down the throats of the
Right.
nobility
Where
than
he
that
is
movie.
Batman.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And
The book is fantastic. I'll link to the book and I'll link to the film. I thought the film was great too.
And I'm still watching Farscape. I didn't have a whole lot. I was out for like 3 days sick last week, bedridden, and I played a lot of Fallout 4 though.
Oh,
I spent very literally 10 hours last week just making Sanctuary pretty, which is not at all embarrassing and awesome. So thank you very much.
you're welcome.
It seems like
You're
this,
really helping the wasteland there, really
this
moving
game,
the story
The
along.
Division or whatever. Have you heard about
Yeah, Tom Clancy.
Yeah.
Tom Clancy? It looks kind of similar. Where do you like have an area where you're making?
Yeah.
Except for its squad-based combat.
Is
And,
it?
and from what I hear that the Division went on its release is only going to have like 20% of its overall actual content and they're going to roll it out, and that always makes me feel weird.
No,
Yeah.
if I'm paying you for the full,
I want
rollout-
I want the game out of the box.
Yeah.
God damn it. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm ambivalent on that kind of thing. It depends on the game, I think. I'm very... So some games I get very upset when I feel like I haven't been given a full game. But if I get a game that's full and complete and fun and
And
fulfilling...
it works and then more stuff
and
comes
then,
out.
4 times that amount of content comes out later, I am not upset.
But with the volatility of the industry, with like studios just closing their doors the day of, I don't trust them.
No, but if it's an established studio.
I have friends who work in the gaming industry, and they're always like, "Oh yeah, my friend just got an email. They're closing in 3 days. Everyone's fired." And it's like, do I trust those people with my money for a product that may come soon? No.
I think, like I said,
a good point.
depends
Yeah.
on the game.
Yeah.
What about you, Doug?
Well, I just recently moved, so I haven't had a lot of time, but I did get to watch. Well, rather, I'll back up and I'll just say the place that I moved into, my roommate has like the Hulu Prime account or whatever, and part of Hulu is the entire Criterion collection.
Oh,
So I'm going to be catching up on a lot of some classic movies, and I'm trying to introduce the wife to the films of Akira Kurosawa because she's never seen any of them. So we started with Rashomon, which I actually had not seen before. I'd seen Yojimbo Seven Samurai,
yeah.
Sanjuro, but for whatever reason I just never got around to Rashomon. So we watched it for the first time, and I mean it's pretty needless to say that I liked it. I could talk about it for forever, but
it's not needless to say. I mean, there's definitely some Kurosawa.
well, for
films
the people,
I do
the people
not
at this
like.
table who know that
Sure,
I'm
sure.
that I'm a fan or whatever. So
What about Zautochi, the Blind Samurai?
Zatoichi,
I think it's Zautochi.
retraction, god damn it.
Captain,
I
Captain
know.
Japan over here.
I know Kurosawa. I know Zatoichi.
But admittedly, I've only seen a handful. But I'm going to expand upon that. I want to see everything they got of
Kurosawa
him.
didn't direct Zatoichi.
No, I was kidding.
Oh, okay.
But it's
What
also,
is the one that Star Wars is based off of?
Hidden Fortress.
The Hidden Fortress.
And what's funny is that
It's
what
just-
George Lucas claims that that's based on is the fact that it's told from the perspective of two unimportant characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A droid.
Yeah.
Where actually the plot of the Hidden Fortress is that a
Well-
general is smuggling a princess through hostile territory,
Yeah.
and like it has a lot more in common with Star
like,
Wars
that's
than he credits it.
What is it? 50% of media is based off of Rashomon. Like, people say that kind of thing. So I don't know. I've never seen it. I don't know what to believe.
It's good.
I think it's a very simple movie.
I also have Hulu. Is it
very
something?
good.
Is it on there? Do you know?
It's on Hulu if you have the subscription, the paid subscription to
Hulu
Hulu,
Plus,
and
yeah.
you could totally watch it. And
But that one is on there.
yes, definitely.
Okay.
That's how we watched it.
Oh, in fact, a lot of Kurosawa films are on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to dig into more of them. Also, Ozu. I've only seen Tokyo Story. That's a great film, but I saw that a while ago. Other than that, this week, what was I reading? Frig me, I can't even remember what I was reading because this week was so busy with moving. But I did get to play Connect Sports Rivals, which
Oh, yeah.
I was just sort of like I didn't even know the game existed. It was available, so I started to play it, and I got way too wrapped up in it to where I'm like, oh man, like because it'll scan your face and like recreate your face as as your avatar or whatever, and it's surprisingly accurate. Not like amazing. You're not gonna be like, oh my god, that is so me, but it's a cartoon version of you. Like it's better than characters that draw you, at like
Yeah.
at the boardwalk or whatever. So there's a version of you, a more simplified, beautiful version of you, rock climbing and shooting and wake riding or whatever. And
So doing apocalypse stuff, really.
Yeah.
but it was a lot of fun. And then I'm like, oh man, this is great. And then I'm like, all right, I played for like, hour and a half, 2 hours, and I think I'm done. I'm gonna get ready to go to bed. I just leave the living room and I start to walk and I go, oh man, my legs were killing me because I was like squatting and jumping for like an hour and a half, just like moving all over the place. So I'm still sore today. And I think I found my new workout regimen, which is I'm going to go to work. And then when I'm out of work, I come home, I'm going to do Connect Sports and outdo because that's the thing, you hook up with friends on Xbox Live and you can keep track of their scores. So I'm going to outdo anyone who joins me on Xbox Live and then do each of the sports and then call it a night, and then I'll just do that like every day and
Awesome.
go to bed sore, but be better.
Saitama would be proud.
Yeah. Other than that, I think that's it.
What about you, Max?
That kind of reminds me of FIFA. When you're playing FIFA on PC, you used to be able to take a picture of your face profile and straight on, and then
How many people took pictures of their dick?
Well, what I would do, I found pictures
In
of
his face, man.
I take a picture of a tiger facing both ways, and then your player would just be a tiger, and that always made me laugh.
Like King from Tekken.
Yeah, I really enjoy FIFA, but I tried giving TV a chance.
What'd you watch?
I watched that show Superstore. It's about like a Walmart.
Not good?
It was like someone watched The Office and were like, "What if we did this in a Walmart?" and then tried to rip off The Office terribly. Like they had a well-meaning boss who just kind of screwed something up. The second in command wanted to be like an army ranger, police SWAT officer. The main characters were just like giving each other looks all the time, and it wasn't great. Then I watched the show Border Patrol,
That sounds
which is an
sad.
animated show.
Animated show?
It's an animated show. It's about this little town in, I guess I want to say Texas, and it's a border town, and the American guy is a Border Patrol agent, and his neighbor is a Mexican landscaper, and they have wacky hijinks, and
Okay.
it was a lot better than Superstore, but it was also kind of strange. I heard about it on NPR, so I decided to watch it.
That sounds like something I'd be into.
Yeah, it's good. I watched a lot of episodes of it, and it makes fun of everyone. Like it's
Like King of the Hill style makes fun
kind
of
of like
everyone?
like the Border Patrol agent is like a dumb fat redneck, but then the Mexicans are like they make fun of each other and everything, and it's a lot of Mexican voice acting, and so it's very cool.
Cool.
I think they're actually Mexican. I don't want to be racist, but from what I heard on NPR, they were actually Mexican.
Okay.
It's locally sourced.
So when I
organic
say
Mexicans.
Mexican voices, I don't mean like Argentina.
Okay.
I mean like these guys are Mexicans making fun of themselves.
Okay.
The Border Patrol reminded me. I was recommended to check out that reality show about Steven Seagal working for that
Oh,
police
God.
station. Because I was like, what? Like, is it supposed to be good? He goes, oh no, it's terrible. But that's why you need to watch it.
Yeah.
Because it's like they'll be driving around in a police cruiser, and like the camera's on Steven Seagal's face, and then like it gets like a flash. And he goes, like he senses something. He's like, pull over up here. And then like they'll pull over, and then he'll like run out into the bushes. And he's like, drugs are here. And even it's like a bag of drugs that someone just like dropped in the bushes. Like he could sense it from like a mile away and shit.
Nonsense.
And I'm like, I need to see it. And he's like giving them instructions on how to shoot their guns properly, like with target practice. He's like, nah, so you missed like the center area here. You got to like free yourself, and you got to like time like null Zen and shit, and like how to have them shoot their guns. So I don't know. It sounds hilarious. I think I'm gonna.
What
check
if
it
him
out.
and Shaq had a police reality show?
Oh my god.
But Shaq's not a law enforcement agent.
Yes, he is.
What are we talking about?
He's like a Miami deputy.
What?
Yeah, for reals, for reals.
That like honorary, or he
No,
went to
like-
police academy?
Yeah, he was actually doing the thing, just like Seagal. Like he had a show. He went to the police academy stuff. He is a like.
But it was all
volunteer
part of
deputy.
the show,
No,
though.
like he is. He pulls people over. He is a reserve deputy.
Never heard that.
Imagine what that's like. You see this car, police
It's like a
car,
clown car. Like a car
leaning to
pulls up
one
and-
side.
Shaq gets out
It gets out. The car almost flips back over.
because Kevin Hart is his
the
partner.
largest. Oh god.
And you're like, what seems to be the problem, officer? He's like, you have any idea how fast you were going?
How does he lean in to talk to you through the window? Like,
He folds in half.
he gets on his hands and knees, and then he's at window level. Like, Jack is a very tall man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like
That's-
the,
For anyone who doesn't know, he's a very tall man.
big,
far as I
the
know,
big
he is
friendly
a-
giant. Like he comes in through the window. That giant hand.
With a giant.
He's a reserve deputy for one of the police departments down south.
They just call him in like a superhero when they need him. Like I don't know what more. Like
Yeah.
There's a bank robbery. Who do we call? Shaq.
The
Because he's
biggest-
got the
biggest
steel
target.
no, see, I think Shaq was just like, hey, I played that game Crackdown. I want to do it for real, and just like him running around town like saving people. Like,
Shaq, we're going to do combat training today. I don't need it. You ever play Shaq Fu?
He's like, "Why do you have a sledgehammer?" I thought this
yo,
was all fuck
you guys
around.
ever see Steel?
Also on Magic. Kazam.
Yeah.
His punchline. He doesn't even say. He doesn't have to say I was in Kazam. But it's just after he rests, like, all right, book him, and he slaps the cuffs on Kazam. That's just his punctuation to end the scene.
Yeah, I own it though.
Book of Shaq.
God damn.
Is that our movie? Is that our movie at the end?
Maybe. That's fucking funny. As for me, I don't even remember what I did. I started reading The Lost World by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. It's fine so far.
I started listening to that, and they had the worst person reading it.
Oh yeah.
He was just like, "The Lost World by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle," and I was like, "Nope, I'm done. Sorry." What is this thing? 9 hours long? It's not happening.
Is it the Diane Rehm problem?
It's Spotify. They have books on tape. You
Yeah.
can just click.
Diane Reeves.
Get off my girl,
I-
Diane Reeves.
No, man, yeah, man. I listen to Diane
Yeah.
Reeves because I'm like, I'm enchanted at like every word. It takes forever for her to speak, but I'm just like, what's she gonna say next? It's just like I'm just waiting.
I'm
I
not familiar
can't.
with
I
this. Who is
can't.
this person?
She's on NPR.
She talks in a way that leads you on and on because you're not entirely sure
Oh god.
of what she's going to say.
I pull my ears
the whole
out
thing
of
is,
my head.
It kills me, but she's also like,
But she's not-
really good at what she does.
yeah, that's the thing. I'm not doing the woman justice because she's not long-winded.
She's fierce.
Yeah, she
What is she, a drag queen?
no, but
I'm serious. Like,
but
she'll
her-
have someone on, and
her
they'll be
voice
like,
is just shot.
"She's
well,
wailed."
she's a very old woman, and she's very
No, it's
she's
beyond
been doing
that. She's had to have like.
She's
surgery.
retired.
Oh yeah, she's retiring this year. She's been in journalism for like
But she'll have
80
someone on,
goddamn
and she'll
years.
be like, "What did you mean when you said this?" And they'll try to give the logic answer, and she's like, "Okay, but you didn't answer me." And they're just like, "Fuck,"
yeah,
because she's not
No,
gonna go away.
Yeah, she's a go getter.
Well,
Team Reams.
I can't listen to her.
I've never heard her. But
I love NPR.
It was like Carl Castle. That's the guy you got.
I'm
So should we do this show as like an NPR like?
Who can do the best Carl Castle impression?
I don't know who
Also,
Carl
I have
Castle
another.
is.
Carl Castle's the
God
guy.
damn it! Come on,
Carl-
I
man.
don't listen to NPR.
Carl Castle's the guy who, when he's talking, it sounds like if you're in your car and Carl Castle is speaking, you sound like you're inside his mouth because
Yeah.
he's very like. He talks like.
I can't.
It's me, Carl Castle.
See, I like
guys.
what I've heard on NPR. I've enjoyed. I just don't listen to the radio in my car.
I do.
Oh,
I drive for work a lot, so it'll be like on whenever they're talking.
I listened to NPR, and then at 5 o'clock, I changed it to 94.5 for the drive time 90s R&B radio. From 5 o'clock to 5:20 is a drive time R&B radio, and I listen to that, and then I go back to NPR.
I've been watching X Files with the lady, and we
With the lights on?
We got to episode 3,
Man,
and it was good. It was the one with Toombs. You
Yeah.
guys-
Oh yeah. What's the
I
topic?
got a couple topics.
What's
All right.
today's- Yeah.
So
We're gonna roll the dice to pick a topic.
no. The first topic we got is copyright, and new writers are always afraid of people stealing their ideas. And they're like, "Oh, I got to get this on lockdown. I got to do this and that, and make sure nobody steals my idea." And I think it comes to a fundamental misunderstanding of what copyright is. You don't own your ideas. An idea in your head is not. You can't own that.
I was under the impression that if anything comes out of your typewriter, you basically own it.
Yes.
Only a
So,
typewriter?
so it has to be written, is what you're saying.
You have anything you write, you own copyright on. as long as you're not plagiarizing it. Well, plagiarism isn't really a thing for fiction. So stop worrying about copyright. If somebody steals your idea and writes it, go ahead and write your thing.
Yeah, do you know how many ideas I've had where then it's like, oh, coming next summer, this movie, and I'm like, oh, really? Like, it's just part of the zeitgeist.
Yeah,
like,
you can't steal somebody's idea. They can just have a similar idea and then make a product out of it based on writing.
And more importantly, you'll be surprised at how similar your idea might sound to something. And then by the time you actually work it out and make it a real thing, you're like, oh, this is based on the same idea. And you can veer off in wildly
However,
different situations.
when my friends and I used to make movies, I came up with an idea for a high school that was only populated by 90210, or not 910, what's it, 21 Jump Street?
They're just undercover cops.
Everyone in the school is
Oh.
an undercover cop. And we thought that was a hilarious idea, and we never got around to filming it. And then, like, a year and a half later, it's on SNL with Lonely Island.
Yeah.
And I was just like, they did it so much better than I would have been able to do it. So,
But here's
kudos.
the thing. If you had made that skit and you physically made the skit,
Yeah.
if Lonely Island's skit was too much like yours, then you've got a case because you're arguing about a finished product.
That happened with the South Park guys and their jokes about Inception.
Yes.
I guess, was it College Humor or Cracked did a
They
video.
wrote Inception?
No. The South Park guys did an episode about Inception. Like, this is right around the time Inception came out. And I think it was College Humor did a video that was just making fun of Inception. And there were some jokes just lifted, like lines of dialogue lifted straight out of this thing. Line for line. I believe they went to court over it. And their defense was simply, okay, yeah, we did take some of these things. It was our mistake, but the reason why we took it is because we thought those were lines from the movie that they were using in that thing as a
Because
spoof.
they never actually watched
Because
the
they
movie.
did not see Inception for themselves.
I haven't
Which is-
either. And I
that's-
feel like life
that's
is way
terrible.
more interesting.
Really?
I disagree.
It's
I
a
You
fun
should see
movie.
Inception.
I saw a meme the other day of Leo at the taking his Oscar or whatever, and then he spins a top, and I have no idea what the hell he's talking about. And life is just
That's a great
mystery to
joke.
me.
That's what you mean
Yeah.
by interesting.
Yeah.
That's a great joke.
That's a
if
great
you,
joke
if you
that
know
you're
what that
missing
means.
out on.
Yeah.
Yeah, life is just a little more mysterious.
I did see a funny College Humor thing about Leo DiCaprio when it's like, please give him the Oscar. It's like written from his mom, and it's like, I'm so worried for my poor baby boy, because it goes through all the different things he's done for his career, and finally it's on The Revenant. And it's like, please, I don't want him to win an Oscar if he's hanging from a noose. It's like, please, just for the sake of my poor baby boy's life, please just give him the Oscar.
Apparently, he is a dick on set, like with practical jokes. On The Wolf of Wall Street, his practical joke for Jonah Hill, hadn't really met. He just runs up and cock punches him as hard as he can.
That's not a joke.
That's a way to break the ice.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's assault.
Time out. I need to. This is a minor diatribe.
Call that a pep.
It's not a practical joke if you're just being an asshole and filming it.
But
Which
Jonah,
is what, like,
Judith's a
when,
prank. Judith's a
yeah,
prank.
when
What
you
if-
look,
okay,
yeah.
No,
when
no,
you-
is that funnier if somebody had said to Leo, "Hey, listen, Jonah's really nervous about meeting you."
oh, yes.
Yeah, no,
That's classic.
that
really-
is funny.
But Jonah
That's
Hill,
great.
apparently Jonah Hill
Jonah
got him
Hill's
back.
really like. Jonah Hill has this problem where if he gets punched in the balls, it hurts really bad.
And Leo's like,
He
that's so
does?
weird. But he feels really weird about it, so like, just get it over with. But Jonah Hill, you know the scene, you guys have all seen the movie?
No,
Seen what movie?
Wolf of Wall Street?
no, I haven't.
Oh, no, definitely didn't watch that at work.
Well, there's a scene where they're eating sushi. Jonah is supposed to take the last piece of sushi, but he said, no, Leo, you go and have it. Then kept messing up the scene. So Leo ate like 20 pounds of tuna sushi that day and was sick for like a week. And Jonah and they...
See, that's a competition going
Yeah.
back for. So that's not dickish. That's just.
well, no, he was getting Leo back for
Yeah.
the first
The
cock
the
punch.
dick punch.
Okay, listen. People might want to steal your idea. Nobody wants to steal the work that is going to take to make it. So that's what you own. Do the
Yeah.
work.
And if
Yeah.
you came up with an idea, that's not...
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
one, no one-
ideas are
no
not
one gives a
protected.
shit.
They're not
Yeah.
worth anything.
Yeah.
Do something with it, or...
Unless you're patenting a use case for an object for some reason that you haven't made. So we need to get rid of those use patents, because they're awful.
Yeah.
So what can you do to protect yourself?
Against the kind of thing where somebody actually steals your written work.
Yeah. Like in the unlikely event somebody actually steals your work, what would you actually do to protect yourself?
I would recommend uploading your work to something that you could prove that you uploaded it to, like Google Drive or Dropbox and things like that. You can also give it to everybody you know to read.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. Is like because the more character witnesses you have, that like no,
better
dude, I
off it
fucking
is,
read
yeah.
this. Yeah.
There's also the poor man's copyright that
Mail it to yourself.
I'd heard that is okay, but that's not as effective as it used to be because you could fake that shit now. You know.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still another layer.
Yeah.
You know, and,
Yeah.
and for those of you listening, the Poor Man's Copyright is for the moment you finish it, you send it as certified mail to yourself, closed,
don't open
open it.
Yeah.
It costs like $2 to get something notarized. That would probably be a good idea.
Or nothing if your bank just notarizes it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, for all your bank knows, you just notarized a cover page and a bunch of white pieces of paper.
No.
Notaries are.
There's
They'd
ways
be more thorough than that. If
Yes.
someone's going to notarize the script, would they have to read the script?
they would read it.
But your bank would notarize it for free, so some poor fool has to read your script over and over again.
Yes,
if
because
you
As long as
have
you're a
to.
member of the
Yeah,
bank.
it's worth your membership. They get more money out of you than you know.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, I might take advantage of that then. It's like
Or go to the library.
I've
$5.
actually-
it'd be awkward to write a script write a script that's really bad on purpose about like robbing a bank and be like, "Can you read this?" It's like,
No.
Tell me what you think of
Then
this.
jokes
Joke's
stop
on
being
you.
jokes when you walk into a bank.
Yeah.
It's not a joke. That's my script.
I've totally.
How dare you?
I've totally thought about just becoming a notary before because it's not that expensive.
But you'd abuse that power.
But it's also just like a weird thing to do for a joke for yourself that you would find funny for about 4 days.
Kind of like becoming a priest or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a universal Unitarian.
I did that in high school.
Totally
Yeah.
did that as well. $5.
I did it when it was free.
Really?
The guy who certifies you is laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's laughing right alongside you. It's a funny joke, he says.
It was worth it at 17.
It's worth it now. Be ordained. At least because in the state of Florida, you can marry
Yes.
people.
Are you still ordained? Is there like a?
It's a lifetime
Oh
membership.
yeah, I don't know if well the whole thing is if the company goes defunct, I'm not sure.
Well,
I also don't care.
okay. So our other topic, other than copyright, is names.
Yes.
How do you come up with names for stuff? That's one of the hardest things for fiction writers.
Yeah, especially anything that's nonfiction or creative nonfiction. I start with the actual names and then I have to go through and replace, which is scary because sometimes you miss some. For me, there's two thought processes I have. One is name them common names that don't mean anything, that are just throwaway. They're to differentiate people in the text. The other one is you give subtle hints to characterization or plot through them. And it really depends on the situation and kind of the story you're telling. I think with fantasy or science fiction, it's a lot easier to put in characterization in the name. But the more modern you get, I think the more that's a hindrance, and the more that's a complete red flag that you can wrap your head around.
See, I personally don't like doing that. I like picking a name that will be defined by the character or the event or whatever. With the exception of the short film that I wrote for Malachi, the Algonquin names I picked for the characters were more like, he kills
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
But that's
Do you
it.
rely on like Google Translate for something like that?
No, I relied on a website that I have no idea whether or not is legit.
I do that as well.
I go to Fantasy Name Generator.
Ooh.
Yeah, I go there all the time. It'll be like most of the stuff I do is pretty contemporary. So I'll be like modern names, random, refresh, F5, 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 F5 until I see a name that I'm like that like leaps out at me. Sometimes it's just a first name and sometimes just a last name. It'll be like, all right, I'll make like a short list of. For my main character, let's just say I'll have like, that's a good last name, that's a good first name, and then I'll mix and match of like after doing it for 20 minutes, finding and mix and match it, and then maybe sometimes it'll make me think of my own last name. Go ahead.
I do have a third case, which is illusions, which I actually really like. I'm doing the Goblin PI thing, and the two main guys are Saul Trowell, and I forget the orc's first name, but his last name is Bowman, but it's a reference to Sam Spade and Archer from the Maltese Falcon. It's just a subtle nod for me that I get to laugh at. It's like my own personal joke.
It's also kind of a touchstone for yourself to keep you on track.
Yeah. Also, it'd be great if someone else was a giant noir nerd and just go like,
Or if it'd be great if anyone else listened to this podcast.
it's like, or just saw that and was like, I saw what you did there, and I'm like, me and you, buddy, we got this.
Yeah.
I usually choose like a culture I'm writing about, and I'll look up names from that culture. I don't like apostrophes.
Oh, you
Me
mean like
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we want to make this
D'Arthur.
weird and foreign, so we're gonna throw in like 6 apostrophes.
I like him if it's a really short name. Like I looked up a god from ancient cultures for a character for World of Warcraft, and the name was Ma'at, MA''AT.
I'm just thinking of people who are like, I need to make a fantasy world, so I'm gonna throw in weird punctuation in the name.
Throwing it in there just
Yeah.
for just
What-
to make it
but if it's
look
like-
on
if
the
it's like-
page look
Yeah.
Like I said,
exotic.
but if it's short, it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Right. So if it's like D''UP.
I'll also say these names out loud because I tend to focus on scripts, and scripts are going to be spoken out loud. So I'm gonna be like, all right, how does this name sound? John Smith. It's a little too plain. Obviously I wouldn't that's not the first
Yeah.
go to, but like I would start saying these names out loud and be like, that doesn't really ring, or oh well, there's too many sounds in it at the beginning and the end, and what looks good on the page doesn't necessarily sound good. So I don't know, man. Every script I've written, it's a different approach each time depending on the genre. How serious does it take itself?
I usually use a basis of German names.
My favorite shitty name for a character is absolutely from Pacific Rim. Is Stacker Pentecost.
God.
It's so bad that it's amazing.
Yeah. That's a script writing
It's like
name.
hero protagonist.
Yeah. Well, no, hero protagonist is making fun of itself.
Right.
Yeah. What's his name, like Akihiro or something?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm also just trying to think of like other names in fiction that are just fucking perfect.
Kowalski.
Kowalski's good.
Kowalski's used in like every cop,
Yeah.
like every like military or
Oh
cop
no,
thing.
and also in any, especially like the Mick cop name or
McFeeny.
Mick or Mick gangster name, like Costigan comes up all the fucking time.
I'm trying to think of
Yeah,
what
Costigan.
names are perfect. Star Wars, they're terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're also throwaway.
Yeah.
That's their purpose, is to be throwaway. And I think
I think
that
the worst for me,
works
like,
for them.
is Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's like it almost sounds like a palindrome.
I don't know where that came from. The more you think about it, it's like, where did that?
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
And then hide under the name Ben Kenobi.
We're
on
not,
the
we're, not
planet.
we're not talking about the
not
character.
even. It's not
Obi-Wan
even.
Kenobi,
right.
just
Not
the
even.
name.
It's not even Ben Kenobi. It's old Ben Kenobi.
So he's an older gentleman.
That's even
Yeah.
less hidden for Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Well, old
Is
Ben he used
Kenobi-
to be a Jedi.
Is Kenobi, like, is that a common family name? That's how he's able to hide?
Don't know, man.
Wouldn't you think that Darth Vader would be like, find me all the Kenobis?
Yeah.
Like he goes into LinkedIn, he's like, bring these people here.
My lord, your LinkedIn profile does not have enough connections.
Oh, like, how I hate you.
My lord, will you endorse me for oppressing the weak?
For me, the hardest thing to name is a place. It's more to me like locations are harder to name.
again,
than
that
people.
depends on what you're going where. Like, especially if you're doing like neighborhoods or cities, it's sort of easy because you know the mechanisms of how those are named, which is the most identifiable geographic location in the area names it,
Or the industry
or the industry,
that started it.
or the person who did that.
Yeah.
And if it's the person, you don't even need to explain who they are.
But like Oxenford became Oxford. It was a place where they could
Londonwick
bring
became
their ox
London.
across the river.
I think I've had the most luck in having a name that felt like a character in D&D games. I think that's really where, because like I had a warlord named Devin Post.
I love Devin Post.
There's no reason for that name. It's nonsense. Liam had a character named Captain Victor Sid,
I loved him.
and it was a great character. If I ever hear Victor Sid, I think of that character. Mm-hmm. Well, sorry, whenever you hear a name of something, you think of what the word means.
Every time I hear the word Josh, I think of Josh. It's like
I don't.
weird, isn't it?
What was your Grog? Was your
Grog. Well, Grog, I took the name Grog after the drink of Monkey Island. So
Which is also just a real drink.
but when I hear Grog, I think of both.
I've never played Monkey Island.
It's
It's
good.
good game.
You got
what
any
I
good
heard.
character names from tabletop gaming?
Tabletop
Oh, I
game.
can't wait to hear this.
No,
No good. What was your favorite character playing
Who was
tabletop
who was your Jedi?
I don't remember. He was a.
I don't remember either. I know he was an asshole.
Yeah, he was a black gentleman. He was from the planet that Mace Windu was from.
The Black People Planet,
Yeah, they're mostly.
of course.
It's like the Red Guard.
They're not humans. They just live on their own planet.
Well, they were Jedi.
Awful.
I know. That's tough. That's how science fiction does
They were
it for some
Jedi,
reason.
and they crashed. And then, so everyone on the planet is force sensitive, and they have weird metal that deflects lightsabers.
Oh,
Then why does he use a lightsaber?
Coronium or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why does he use a lightsaber instead of wear armor made of that shit and punch people to death?
The Imperial Knights do. They have bracers.
Oh.
They have metal with that, which is to say that there's 10 kilograms of it in existence.
Wow, that's boring.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't. Naming is character creation for me takes a very long time. Skyrim, Oblivion, any of that kind of thing.
Oh, really? For that kind of stuff, for video games, I have like
Oh, no.
5 set things. One is my own name, depending on what it is, but also Renton Bane is like my favorite go-to fantasy. I'm a dickhole.
I can spend
name.
6 hours flipping through screens, getting my character.
And
the
also,
name the way
if
I
it's
wanna
Star
be.
Wars, I try to get away with Revan every time I can because I
funny.
just want to be Revan.
In World of Warcraft, I had a bunch of characters that were named a bunch of nonsense sounds that I came up
Opus.
with. Yeah, and then I hit the random button a bunch till I saw a name that was like Blabladopus, and I was like, oh, Opus. It's OPIS. Simple. And that character I played more than any of the other ones, so now that's all I think of when I think of World of Warcraft is that character.
I enjoy being
Severian
a
for me.
gnome bard. So I tried to pick gnome names.
What's a gnome name like?
Gnomes have like 15 names, and they only use certain ones for certain
Toe-biter.
people. It's very strange. That's why I wanted to choose the topic names, because I'm not that great with names.
Yeah, I think I like the random name generators because I usually don't end up picking any of the names that I see.
Right.
But it will.
But it gives me an idea.
It'll- yeah, something
right.
will click.
Carl with a K is my go-to.
Yeah, the random name generator thing,
Like a house call.
it tells me the more you know what it isn't, the closer you get to figuring out what it is. Where it's like, I don't like anything with a K. Nothing with a J.
Yeah.
either. I want something with with a
Yeah.
B.
With like
Well, you take a-
7 Z's. I
Take a
think.
regular name and just
I-
start chopping out
Something
sounds.
Polish.
Yeah.
I have a problem where like I want to name every girl Sam, and I don't know why. Like,
Samus?
short for Samantha. And the whole thing is like I don't know any. There's nothing from my past that has marked me this way, and I'm thinking it might just be Cheers.
Ooh, yeah.
Or it might be a alien probe has implanted that in you so that when the alien comes down and says, "My name is Samantha," you
like,
are
"Oh,
just
you're the
that much
one."
more likely to trust her.
Your ass is going to be so wet.
What?
Your butthole will
What?
leak.
Will percolate.
So is this conversation over?
All right. Let's circle back here.
Yeah, let's go back. Names are dumb. Don't ever give your characters. Just number them. So it's like character 1, character 2. It's the best way to go.
That's what I do.
This is a book about
Operator number
how
177.
numbers started killing each other. Like Arabic numerals just went to war.
And then midway through, be like, "This is character 0," and then you're like, "Oh,
That's the Racer X. That's the Racer X character. So, let's talk about our own writing
Let's do this shit."
and lack thereof, because I think that's going to be something that I need to talk about here. So, Liam, what about you?
I wrote a little thing, and it was kind of just almost an experiment piece on repetition, where the first sentence of every paragraph was the same sentence, and just trying to use that to a narrative rhythmic advantage. The story I didn't really give that much shit about. It was just I've been talking to my friend who was working construction. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna write a little piece about that and what kind of that mode of life."
And about your Daisy Dukes.
Yeah, need to bring in the jorts. Yeah, but it was mostly just to see if I could use repetition and have it work without it being boring. I think it was a moderate success. I don't think it was tiring.
It wasn't boring.
Yeah.
It didn't become.
I liked the repetition. I just felt the overall story was very oppressive.
Really? Because I thought it ended on sort of a high note.
It ended on a high note, but the life they lived was oppressive to me.
Right, but the story wasn't oppressive. It was about
story-
people who live a life that might
Well,
be
I
oppressive.
felt oppressed. Not in the way of
Because you had to read it, so
modern
you had to
use of
read it
repression.
before.
No, like
You're oppressing me, Josh.
more like the room was getting smaller.
If you felt depressed reading that, we got to launch into yours next. 'Cause
I was gonna say, yeah, fuck you. Do you have more to say about
Sitting
it?
under an umbrella, sipping on your beer, be like, this is the life. It's my day off. And then just cut. It's
Yeah.
like, I feel oppressed.
In my life, I was working construction, and all the construction workers were like, "Quit college. That's stupid. Don't go there. Do this." And then I could just see that route reading that, and I was just
Right,
like,
right.
"Ugh."
But that doesn't end.
That's not
there.
in
there
No, that's
either.
not. It's the
That's not a part
opposite
of
of
that.
That's what I said when I got to the end. I was like, "Yeah, that's great."
I mean, he's
Yeah.
doing it for the money. He's uncomfortable. The idea that even the repetition of it, like the first day off in a long, long time, is at the beginning of every thought that he had that day.
Yeah,
That was the beginning of every experience. The beginning of every thought that he had for that entire day was that thought, and
That
that's what that
gentleman.
repetition was trying to reinforce.
but what about the other 4 dudes? Are
They were
gonna-
fine, man. They were smoking weed and hanging out.
But are they going to go to college? Are they going to do that
Probably
for the rest
not.
of their life?
It doesn't. I don't.
I think as
I
an
felt for
experiment-
these characters, Liam.
I think as an experiment, it was a success.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Josh.
Yeah.
Sorry you made me feel with your story, Liam.
It was not tedious at all. I didn't feel as though I got bored of the premise
No.
that's stated in the sentence.
Okay.
I think it was executed.
However,
quite
I
well.
would like to hear about any difficulties you're having with your main story.
Okay, so I'm running into big difficulties with the Hatter based on how jumping dimensions works because it needs to be limited because they can't. The more control your main character has, the less it's hard for them to have hardships if they can just do whatever they want whenever they want.
Yes.
And
So
some
you need
fun,
some kind of obstacle to overcome to jump.
or
again?
even just magical rules being weird.
Like you need kryptonite.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
also I want it to be a concrete idea so that the person reading it, when they're confronted with a problem, knows these 4 things can't happen. And then you get to surprise them. If anything can happen at any time, you're not really surprising them because they're not expecting something not to happen.
But if you say these things can't happen, and then something happens, they're like,
So you're looking
Yeah,
for
like Rick and Morty doesn't surprise you with its randomness. It surprises you with its gravitas and weird emotionality.
yes, very much.
That's
so.
the thing that gets you. It's not that it's like, oh, Mr. Poopy Buttholes. The fact that his name isn't Mr. is funny, but it doesn't like shock you.
Well, then maybe
as
what you
much.
need to focus on is the character flaws that these people have.
Yes, and
Because that's, I mean, really what drives Rick and Morty is that you know Rick inside and out.
inside, yeah.
and how he feels about things, and then anytime he makes an excuse for something, what he really means.
Or when
Yeah.
there's a situation presented, how Morty and Rick will butt
Yeah, like
heads.
when Morty
Exactly.
takes the baby from his sex robot and
God.
cares for it, and it's like,
Rick is like, no, man, just
Oh,
shoot it now.
yeah.
And then with the Goblin PI, I'm having a lot of fun with it, but it's becoming less a noir story and more a spy thriller.
go with it.
I'm
Yeah.
leaning into it.
Good.
Yeah, but it started out with like loan sharks and mobsters, and then has progressed to government level conspiracies.
I think that's the better.
Very quick, but it ramped up super quick, and I'm almost worried that it happens too fast at the moment.
I think you might be served well in that idea to treat it as though it's not fantastical at all. Like, not for the final product, but for the sake of developing it.
Yeah.
And then, after you've done that,
Indiana Jones it.
can you...
Indiana
Right.
Jones is a world where magic totally fucking exists, but 90% of the story does not involve magic.
No, I mean for the development process.
Okay.
So, for instance, you think of it as an actual spy movie thriller with no magical elements.
And then replace elements.
Exactly.
Okay.
The rules will write themselves.
Exactly. Okay. Oh, no, that one's the one I'm not having a problem with. The rules of magic in that one I know.
Okay.
Like I have them solidified.
What about you, Doug?
I have more detailed outline for Planet Without Christmas, and I have the first 2 pages of the script. Reason why I didn't print it up and have you guys read it is because they're so short. Because it's a screenplay. It's 2 pages is nothing. It's like
Say a minute.
Yeah,
to
it's
read
like it'd be like a paragraph. I could just tell it to you and it'd be faster. Plus, it's better for me to tell you what the first scene is, not just what the first 2 pages are. The story opens with
Matthew McConaughey.
no, our Captain Spriggs is going to
So
be his
Matthew
name.
McConaughey.
Spriggs.
Yeah, that was one of the random names that
like
came
that.
up that I liked. So it's Christopher. It's no, I'm sorry, not Christopher. It's Nick. So it's
Like a
Nicholas
sprig
Nicholas
of-
Spriggs.
Sprig of holly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, don't you worry, baby. We're gonna
Lean in for a kiss.
We're gonna deck the hall.
Oh.
It opens with him on his ship, and it describes the ship briefly and to give you like what the tone is like, and that it's this super sleek, futuristic kind of thing, but utilitarian. But there's like garlands hanging and stuff like that. So he's sort of decorating his ship a little bit. There's Christmas music playing. He enters this like hallway, the corridor of his ship, and he's carrying this like half wrapped present, like he's having trouble with it. He goes and he sits down at the mess hall, like in the mess.
Okay.
But it's like a table that's big enough for like maybe 6 to 8 people, but it's just him sitting there, and there's like paper, and he's like wrapped a couple presents, and in the corner there's a tree with a couple really shitty wrapped presents underneath. Like he's not really good at wrapping it. And then the
That's a myth. I find that men are better at wrapping presents.
well,
Dude, have
well,
you ever seen
well,
my
here's
dad
the thing.
wrap anything?
Of course not.
Oh, it's fucking. No, the other thing is like. The other thing
Where
is
does that come from?
It's not.
it might have happened because he will do that stuff on the fly, and it's immaculate.
The reason it's not. I'm not going for the cliche that he's a man, therefore he can't wrap presents. He's wrapping presents and they're really shitty. But the computer is going to come on and say, "Why don't you just use like the easy fold, like futuristic wrapping paper that makes it super easy?" And he goes, "No, it's the thought that counts. Like I'm doing this old fashioned way. It's the way my dad did it, and I want to do it this way because my kids are going to enjoy tearing it apart. And with that new stuff, it just unfolds and it's like not whatever. So I'm just making a note about it's the future and that you can do this
Right.
really easy. But he's making the effort to wrap these presents because to him this is what like Christmas is about, is doing this for his family. And then the computer comes on and says, "Hey, we're going to be dropping out of warp in about 5 minutes. Just so you know, I know you're in the middle of wrapping these presents, so you might want to get up topside." And he just says, "Okay, before I do that, can you pull up my the order log?" And it pulls up the order, and you can see that he's shipping trees, and I went and I researched and I found like a specific type of there's a specific type of tree. It's like a red Virginia pine or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but it's a specific tree that actually exists, and the idea is that he is shipping trees that were grown on Earth to a planet where they don't have those kinds of trees. So, but it's this super capitalist planet. We talked about it before. Anyway, so he's like, okay, that's the order. It looks pretty good. It's like a couple tons of these trees still alive and potted, things or whatever.
Cool if he like goes into the hold and they're all there, like
I was thinking about that.
Spread on every wall, like anti-gravity or.
I have it. It's just he has gravity in his ship. That is
Okay,
just it's
yeah.
like the Millennium Falcon.
And they're all over the cargo hold. And he's like, it smells so great.
That could be a good scene, but that's pretty much where the 2 pages ended. But where the rest of the scene goes is he goes, all right, time to get up there. He's like bantering with the computer. The computer's not supposed to be like super intelligent, but it's just intelligent enough to like get
like Gertie from Moon.
a little bit, yeah, where it's just intelligent enough to get when he's being sarcastic or whatever, and he's programmed it to like respond to his particular things. So it's like I would think you should get up to the thing, so because we're dropping out of warp in about 5 minutes, and he goes, huh. I should get up there then, shouldn't I? And it says, well, you are the captain. He goes, all right. So he gets up and he goes in the cockpit, and he's like, all right, hit it. And it's gonna say, Captain on the bridge, and you hear of like a like a kazoo sort of thing, like just basically spoofing the idea of like of the boatsman's whistle or whatever,
yeoman, yeah.
the yeoman's whistle, whatever. So it's like it's just showing how he's kind of like entertaining himself because he's very bored and this is the long haul, and he's trained the computer to entertain him with these silly, stupid rituals.
That's
or
what I mean.
whatever.
It might be weird, but to have a scene where the computer's like, I wish you would change it back to my standard setting, and he's like, no, that one's great.
Yeah, like that kind of
Yeah.
that little funny banter is whatever. So anyway,
Yeah.
You don't have wishes. You just
Yeah.
are programmed by a very narcissistic
exactly.
person.
So he's going to sit down into the cockpit and he's be like, all right, dropping out of warp, 3, 2, 1, and it drops out, and it's going to be the planet, this huge, beautiful planet in front of him. And he's like, all right, let's start docking procedures, call up the main line here to do this. And he's like, all right, making contact, but there's an incoming signal. It's burst transmission. I can't stop it. He's like, what? Burst transmission comes up on his like monitors, like surrounding his like view of the cockpit, and it's like, welcome to RS2, prepare for your boarding process. And he's just like, oh god, it's one of these videos, god damn it. And it's gonna be like, can we please shut this thing off? And it's just it's basically like the longest, loudest, most annoying vacation promotional video of like, thank you for coming to RS2 with check out our awesome hotels and blah 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 blah. And he's like, shut the goddamn thing off.
The first
Be
thing
sure
that
to
came
visit
mind,
the Mountain of Diamonds.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The first thing that came to mind was dropping into BioShock into the bottom, and it's like, is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow?
No, not quite that. It's pretty much the opposite of that.
but the same
It's like-
idea.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
This
I got
propaganda.
the Hitchhiker's Guide. Thank you for coming. Now you're gonna die.
It's the idea of just like you are waiting in line at Disney World, and this is the shit they're gonna shovel at you, and that's when he's like, oh wait, and it's like, we can't shut this down, and it says at one point the video is gonna say, just get to the end of the line and docking procedure will begin. He's like, what? And there's a ring around the planet of ships waiting to land.
Oh, God.
So he's like, no, oh no, because it's like he's on a time schedule
Yeah.
here to land. He's like, god damn it, they implemented the planetary landing process. It's like and then the
we
computer's-
can't
Wait.
clear you to land
And
until
there's-
you've disabled ad blocker.
And
Pretty
there's-
much,
and
yeah,
there's-
yeah.
And the whole thing is, there's no truckers lane.
Well, here's the thing, though. It's like the computer tells him that he was on schedule to land. It's like, oh, you're actually 2 minutes ahead of schedule. It's like, oh, sounds great. Plenty of time to land because this is the future. We can land in no time. And then he gets there, and it's like a line of 3 hours long to get through the atmosphere.
The whole thing is, I like that because it's not even like he's a fuck up. It's that the system is stacked against
Yes,
him.
yes.
Which is
'Cause he's a small time. He's small time, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, because him being a fuck up is like, dude,
And-
you're one guy on one ship. Do your fucking job. Like,
Yeah.
can you not deliver? The computer does half the work. It calculates your landing trajectory. How can you fuck that up? So it's more of like it's just stacked against him because he's a small time
Or even,
guy.
or even if you, especially if you add in another sequence where it's like the guy arguing with him is like, he's like, I was here on time. I was just in line, and you could make he was like, if I was part of one of the big
shipping lanes or whatever.
big truckers union, I would have been able to circumnavigate that, and I would have been here on time. And he was like, not my fucking problem.
And he's like, you hired me because I was cheaper. Like this is expected. But anyway, so he's gonna have to either pay. I can't decide if he's gonna have to pay money to get into the fast lane and shut this damn video off, or if he's just gonna say, fuck it, I'm gonna pull some crazy maneuver where I'm gonna get in line with the big ship, take the Comet down, and just be like, excuse me, beep, beep, vroom, and just ignore heavy lane traffic and just get into fast lane traffic with the Comet because it's smaller, and there'd be a rule about smaller ships step to the left, bigger ships have to go through like sort of like a way station,
Right.
like a space equivalent of a way station. So he can circumvent that by loading up his smaller ship with half of the cargo and be like, all right, let's just take it down now and we can get the rest later. I just have to be on time. And then, of course, that's going to be a little action scene of him trying to deliver it, speeding through traffic, trying to get to there, and he, screeches the thing to a halt, and they're like, you're 30 seconds late, fuck you.
Or he gets pulled over, and then the cop's like, Merry Christmas.
Yeah. that's
I
The
do have to
classic
say,
Christmas.
the more in depth this story gets, and the more in depth of the troubles, even before you get to the main planet they're having, the more I enjoy the story.
Well, thank you. But yeah, so he's gonna that's gonna be the first basic scene is how he's going to be late because this planet is so freaking popular and it's Christmas time, and I think the irony that his delivery is live Christmas trees to a planet that loves Christmas, but yet they can't grow trees and stuff. So
Because it's just too tropical.
yeah, exactly. No, that was exactly it. I was actually thinking of it sort of like a tropical sort of Miami,
It's
feeling.
Hawaii, the planet.
Yeah, Hawaii, the planet, but super capitalist and stuff.
Like Hawaii, the actual island.
Yeah, but other than that, he's gonna take off after that. And he's gonna make the deal about transporting Christmas goods and stuff. So then I'll work out like the deal of like why he's transporting all the Christmas stuff, and then he's gonna get caught and land on Wotan 4, and that'll be the beginning of the story. Yeah,
I like that. I like where it's going.
I also
Thank
like
you.
where it's going, and
Yes.
it started out as a pretty silly, stupid idea that we randomly generated.
yeah, it was a joke. Is what it
yeah.
was. Yeah.
Yeah. And the more detail you're getting into it, it's not becoming less funny, it's becoming more heartwarming and emotionally resonant.
Thank you. And hopefully next week I'm going to try to get that first scene done, if not a little bit more. So you'll get the full complete, like, you can read it for yourselves at that point. I won't have to tell it to you.
Let's talk about
Bueno,
Max.
excellent.
His schlock.
My schlock. Tell
Your
me
schlock.
about my schlock.
No, you got to tell us.
fucking
what
I gotta
schlock
tell them
you
about my
brought in.
schlock.
I hate it, and I hate you.
You're going to have to explain, because sometimes I'll misinterpret it, and it's
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
like when I misinterpreted Liam's story, he's like, I like that better. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean. So was the computer a metaphor in your story?
The computer?
Yeah, was it real or was it a metaphor?
Yeah, no, it wasn't a metaphor.
Okay.
Because I can't. Sometimes I have a problem telling when you're sarcastic or just being an asshole.
Yeah.
So you need to.
It's always one or the other.
you need
Well,
to
there's
work,
no
I'm just saying,
sarcasm or
work on that
asshole.
shit. Is all I'm saying.
So,
It's
Max, what did you bring in?
Yeah, what
I
was
brought
your
in a story I'm writing about the world has ended for all. Everyone has to go under. There was these giant underground areas where they were doing. You call it when they pull heat up from the
Geothermal.
geothermal. So they're working on that. Then as the Earth got
Is this explained in your story?
no everything I've written down.
He's setting up the world that the story takes place in.
Yes.
So geothermal, they all had to go underground. So over 300-400 years, people underground, they've all mixed together. They've all conjoined. So there's kind of a socialist.
It's a giant rat king of humans.
Pretty much. Everyone is connected by their tail. Now, there's kind of a dystopian socialist state that runs everything, and our main character kind of brushes up against it. He's really not happy with it, doesn't know what to do about it, and then he finds a terrorist organization that wants to bring people up to the surface, because on the surface is this utopian society while the rich people live, and the poor people are down below fixing it.
This is like the Morlocks and the Eloi.
Kind of, but then eventually he's going to get brought up there, because you want to see it so bad. And it's just like people desperately trying to keep these generators going that keeps the atmosphere in the earth from the
Oh,
earth
cool.
boiling away.
It's very cool.
So
it has the similar theme.
The
to-
dystopia is a utopia, but they don't know it.
You should see another anime
No.
called Gurren Lagann.
Oh my God, Gurren Lagann.
Because that is the starting premise.
Yes.
Oh,
Except for it's not that the atmosphere; it's just above ground. There is
Things
a bunch
are
of-
bad.
Things are still bad, but everybody's trying to get above ground.
yeah, because they think this terrorist organization thinks that there is a Garden of Eden up there, and there's not.
right.
It sounds very similar. I mean, the setting reminds me a lot
Logan's Run.
of the planet Mercury in Rendezvous with Rama. The people who lived on Mercury could only live there underground because, obviously the
Yeah.
radiation from the sun. But it's so hard to live on Mercury that it is like the most efficient group of people. Everybody there's an engineer, and they just get
Yeah.
things done.
The only part I gave you was the beginning,
Sure.
just because I wanted to bring in something short. Everyone has their own jobs, like there's Ministry of Agriculture and farmers and everything like that. This guy just happens to be a thermal engineer, and that's who he associates with because that's who he lives with.
There's a lot of information that was required beforehand that you didn't give me before I read it that isn't in the text. That if this is the beginning of it, you need immediately.
I didn't really have that much of a problem with it. I felt like you jumped in both feet 1st, and if the story continued like that, I felt confident that I would get more detail.
Yeah, he's going to go to his job. You're going to see what he does.
I'm not saying like immediately in what you have,
Yeah.
but everything you said for me to understand where the narrative was going in this conversation we just had
Yes.
needs to show up sooner rather than later in the next bit.
Okay. Yeah, it does.
There's a lot of things you just said that aren't in that text.
Yeah, because they're not in that text.
Yes.
Because this is like a page from the first page of a story.
It's more like
Hobbits.
2-3 pages.
I was gonna say again, I had the formatting issue.
If you read the page of The Hobbit, you don't know about all the bad stuff.
Again, I had the issue with formatting where I didn't all the time know who was talking because
I
you didn't
won't.
start on a new paragraph.
I won't fix that.
How about this? Just let
I
me edit
refuse.
it.
No.
How about this?
Remember we talked about being sarcastic, or
Yeah. How about this?
listeners who don't know Max, this is what we're talking about.
I'm just gonna edit it.
No.
Yeah, just let me do that.
Then I'll delete it.
No, you won't. I'll save it under something else. I have access to the email.
You better make sure you copyright protect it if he's going to steal it.
I'm going to get
Oh,
it.
yeah, I'm totally gonna steal it and then make it better and give it back to him.
I'm gonna
what editors
I'm going to have
do.
my laptop notarized.
That's what thieves do.
No, that's not what thieves do at all.
No, I know
That's what thieves do.
the formatting
They don't
thing
make a
is
copy of something, improve it, and then hand it back.
No
to the
thing is,
creator.
I don't even need you to do it.
That's what Mozart does.
Yeah,
To piss
I
off
don't-
Salieri.
I don't even need you to do
You
it.
equated leave to
Just
Mozart.
fucking, just let me do it before we post it.
No, I'll try to work on that. But
The only thing is, you don't.
Yeah.
Especially if one of us is willing to be your editor,
yeah.
just let us do it.
Here was
But
my-
other than that, what do you guys think of it?
well, here was my experience while reading
Please.
it. It was about it was like it was at least 2 pages. It was like 3 pages. I'm guessing.
I think it was
2 to 2.5.
It's hard to tell because of the formatting.
Yeah. Well, either way,
I'm glad we're on the same page
the waking
here.
up and everything.
Ooh.
The waking up and establishing the world that way, I liked it. It reminded me because it was still fresh in my head of 1984.
Yeah.
But the thing that I got in 1984 within those first 3 pages isn't not how the world came to be, but what does this guy think of that world? I didn't quite get that. Like I was confused on
I
how
felt like
he.
I felt like you were hiding the ball. On that
Yeah,
one.
like I did. I know he was looking up like, all right, news. Tell me about the terrorists and the fires and everything else. I didn't know if that was because he sided with the terrorists, or is he like scared of them, or is it?
He
his
mentions that he
job?
doesn't like them.
He mentions, yeah.
He mentions that he likes the
right,
terrorists.
right. But like, I didn't. Here's the other thing. You established that it was underground. I thought this was a really cool idea. Like, oh, things were bad, but don't worry. Someday we're gonna get back up there. So I'm like, wait a minute. Is this a dystopia where Is this like a Big Brother thing where they're lying and they're not trying to get back up there and they're intentionally keeping these people down there, or are they legit trying to get back up there? And I should be rooting for this guy to
Then again,
succeed.
Should I say all that in the first 2
No,
pages?
no,
of the
no, no.
story?
That's not the problem.
I don't
The
really
pro-
get what you guys are saying.
What I'm saying is that
you want all the plot. in
No,
the
no,
first
no,
two
no,
pages.
no,
no, no,
I don't
no.
even.
Yeah.
I don't
No,
even
the
know what
background-
he thinks about it.
Right.
is
The
thing.
background doesn't matter. Whether or not what the Big Brother says to him is true, I don't care about that. All I care is what does he think. Like now, if you had the Big Brother thing come up and it's like, oh, we're up 4% and we're doing great, and then he says he shuts it off, mid sentence and is like, fuck that asshole. Then I'm like, all right, I get what he thinks. But instead, he lets it go on. He goes and cleans himself, and I'm like, oh, is he like a loyal party member? I just didn't get where he fit in this interesting world that you've already developed. And then like there was a bit
That makes sense.
about him that did come out was through conversation, and then because it's like, okay, he's living underground, there's advanced technology, and he's cleaning himself, he's got access to a shower, and there's like a communal meal. Then he goes to the place to get his meal, but the meal is like really shitty, and I'm like, oh, this is not as cool as I was thinking. It's actually a little bit more of a dystopia than I was thinking.
Or it's like even somebody who I'm assuming because of the way that he's presented that he's actually well regarded, and he's I guess just by the description
There was like
of how he puts it.
even
and
even the
he's
idea
like-
that he was level 3. I have no idea how
he's-
many
well,
levels
that's-
there are.
No, he said if you get to the 4th level, you get that coveted, like emblem for your 4th
Yeah.
level. So I'm like,
which I was
this is a
assuming
guy.
that he's on the right track.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But things are even shitty for him.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like that he's like that's the thing I got was he's on the cusp of getting this thing that he really wants. He's working really hard. He seems pretty loyal to the cause. Does he believe in the cause or not? Because if he sides with the terrorists, well, then why is he such a good engineer? And I know those are things that you could answer eventually.
Yeah.
But to start off, I didn't even know where his starting point was.
I cut it off right when he was about to go to his job, and he talks to his boss, who's like a level 9, and it's just the total.
See,
He
well,
can
the whole thing is-
fly.
yeah.
well, no, he's like,
but the whole thing is, see,
like-
Alter space and time.
It's like
So-
Scientology.
yeah, but the whole thing is like, all right, so you're given the information that he's level 3, and then it's a page and a half before you know that level 9 exists.
I
Why
think
should
that's
you
fine.
know all that in the? I don't
no,
understand why you want to know all that in the
I'm
first
not,
two pages.
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying like
Doesn't make
I
sense.
do need him to make sense in the place in his own society.
If I could hear more of his thoughts of just
Okay.
like, of just I
And-
just want to hear more of what he's thinking of like,
Yeah.
oh man, I hate these new these
See, I hate-
like you explained like the shower thing that has no water. He's like, man, I miss the days where you could use water
Yeah.
because this
Well,
never
no,
actually
he never,
works right.
He never
And-
knew.
But that's the thing.
but,
like,
yeah.
just, you know.
But I hate giving you guys this because these are outlines to me. I sit down and I write narrative
Yeah,
story
okay.
outlines, and then I go back. This is a thing I haven't had the chance to.
So I just
Fix.
want to say because you're getting a lot of criticism for this.
Yeah, I don't like it. You guys are
no,
kinda
but
dicks.
Hold on.
You're a little too intense with the criticism. Sometimes.
I think the amount of information that you're giving is fine.
That's fine.
I think
I would say so too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just,
in this amount of space, I think it's fine. I think that with a little bit of formatting tricks and a little more white space on the page, it won't seem so much like you're trying to create an info dump while also hiding how he feels. So if you just make it more about the motions that he goes through and really like find a pace for that, then I don't have an issue.
Well, I get going back and giving the emotions. I should do that.
But I also get how you're saying like this is basically like a brain dump outline for
Yes.
you. And
I just sit down and I create the world.
it's hard it's
create the
hard
characters.
it's hard for me to get that when I'm reading it because this is way more complete than any brain dump that I do. So
is
it's hard,
how
it's hard like
Yeah.
for me this is like, oh, this is just his first draft because it has all this stuff in it. But
I just sit down and I
right.
I type.
But from the perspective of this being a brain dump,
Yeah.
there's nothing I can say other than keep going. But if this is like, okay,
No, I
well,
want the yes. I want.
right. I would just say, yeah, I just want to know. You set up an interesting world. I want to know more about it. I want to know about all, but I trust that is still coming up.
Yeah.
The only thing I felt was necessary was his thoughts.
Okay.
Just about even of the slightest thing, just to push me in a direction of where we're going.
And also specifically where the conflict lies with the big brother. It'd be one thing if things are just shitty and he feels like they have to be shitty because the world is now shitty.
right. Like is he just doing his best in a shitty world, or is he being
or
put
are
down?
they actively lying, and does he
Right,
believe
right,
what
right.
like what the situation is? And again, we don't need to know the truth. I need to know how he views how he's
Yeah.
being lied to.
Okay. I get that.
Where is his motivation?
And again,
obtained?
I get that information is coming. I just want to
Yes.
know that even when he sits down and eats his food, what did he think of the food? He just spoke out loud. Oh, is this beef or pork? Even that question doesn't tell me if he's disgusted or if he's just like, what is it today, beef or pork? Like I couldn't tell what his emotion was. That's all.
Okay.
Well, as for me, I didn't bring in anything
Straight.
because I'm having an issue with the chapter I'm in, and specifically, I need to create a scene or a montage, and I want your guys' help.
All right, training montage.
Yes, he needs to learn. Okay, so Malcolm's in Kilvin's home. He's just gotten locked up, and I'm trying to figure out how to create a scene of him learning. I've got an initial scene I've written down where Kilvin is like giving him the beginning of their language, trying to establish a base of communications. But I can't take the reader through all of that.
No.
That would be the most
No.
boring thing in the world. But the initial scene, I think the reader needs. This is the method he's using to teach him. Now, in this time, he's got to learn several things. He's got to learn that Kilvin's children are the same age as him. He's got to hear the fables that Kilvin tells his children. And he's got to be able to see Kilvin training them and start learning more about the Wilvik's way of life through the window of his cell and through what Kilvin says.
Is he still keeping the children separate at this point?
Immediately, yes, but over this scene or montage or whatever we want to make,
Kids are going to start.
we need to, I need to find a way to make it interesting, not just
right.
this image, this image, this image.
Are the children learning at the same time?
Yes.
Are they older enough?
They're roughly Malcolm's equivalent age. I'm not sure if I want to say that they're the same age as him because years are the same length, on this planet.
But their
And I think
maturation
they
cycle
might
might be
mature
different.
faster, yeah. So I want to say that they're Malcolm's equivalent maturity.
Okay.
So, how many beats do you want in this?
No idea. I want it to be
Because
okay, I want it to be
I
a
almost
sequence
think-
of interesting scenes.
Yeah, that
And it's not going to feel like a montage.
because you
the
already
same
have
way the movies
you
do.
have a list of goals.
Yes.
I mean, the easiest way to pick how many beats there would be to pick the amount of goals, but I don't think that's what you're going for. I think you're going for something a little more elongated,
Yeah.
and you're looking for a progression on each of those.
Without being too long. That's also a risk.
So, how many goals do you have?
Let me see here.
Because I'm almost saying two longer than your list of goals.
Because you could use this as a point to establish a relationship with the children
Yes.
as well, because he's going to want to, later on, he protects them, right?
Here's
So
a
that
question.
would-
How quickly do you want this to go by?
I want
Is it montage?
I want it to be a few months.
I don't mean in story time. I mean in page time. Like how fast do you want it?
It will serve the same purpose as a montage. However, I want it to be a sequence of actual full scenes.
Okay.
Does that make sense? They
Yeah,
don't have to
that
be
helps.
long.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't have to be long, but they need to be moments that need to be expressed
All right.
with dialogue and feeling.
You thinking like maybe a page or half a page?
More than that.
I
gotta be.
I
It's
think
gotta
it
know.
depends on the moment.
It's got to be
Because
more than
the
that.
first thing I thought of when you're talking about how to show a passage of time but have it be a montage, but not really feel like a movie montage, I thought, okay, well, how can you visualize that? Like, how can you visualize the passage of time in a place where you're in a cell? I'm like, what if he starts marking the days on like the wall? It's like he saw this in a movie once and he thought he was going to do the thing, and it's like on Mark 5 this happened, like on day whatever, like this many days had passed before you knew it, like half the wall is filled up,
How do
like
they
as a
feel
way to
about,
measure the
like,
time.
Well, I think
I still
he's
think
not,
scenes are the better way to go.
he's a prisoner, but if he asks how long it's been, they'll just tell him. You know what I mean?
Okay, good point. Yeah.
It's not like Castaway where he has no idea unless he keeps track.
But
Right.
that's
and more
I get what
importantly,
Doug is saying.
there
like
could
a
there could
visual.
literally just be a calendar on the wall that one of the first things they do is he learns how to read it. Because anything mathematical, especially if it's based on the same amount
Right.
of days, will make sense to him the first. That will be the easiest thing to grasp.
Well, how many fingers do the Wildex have?
5.
Even it doesn't matter. There's 365 days in a year. They're gonna break it down some way on that.
So I think I need if you guys could help me with scenes,
All right.
like specific scenes.
So there's no direct combat scenes.
None.
He's not learning how to fight right now.
He is learning how they learn because he will be able to see them learning from their father, but they aren't fighting anybody. So just learning footwork and then hearing things that Kelvin says to his children.
Probably have to watch The Last Samurai.
An easy way to do that is if he has a listed and numbered amount of rules or stories, because then you can, if you know there's a certain number of things and you mention one or two numbers of it, you know how big or massive the scale is. Where if you mention the 5th rule and the 10th rule and the 20th rule,
I'm not really concerned about structure, about
You're talking about
establishing
just
the patch.
scenes,
I'm
scenes.
talking
Well, I'm
about
saying, like,
an interesting moment for the characters to
Okay.
share. That's it. The passage of time stuff. That's all.
You think you can take
nuts
care of
and
that,
nuts
right.
and bolts. I'm worried about the actual
How do they eat?
entertainment part.
How do they eat?
With their hands, like people in India out of
Okay.
wooden bowls.
So they could teach him how to eat because that is
I don't think that's a moment.
that is a definite process of eating correctly. Because
And
if you eat with your left hand, they're gonna look at you like you're disgusting in India.
Yeah, it's true.
Like I went
there's
to
a-
a Moroccan restaurant where
Yeah.
they, like they bring you the big plate and everyone sits around it in a circle and
You
you have
roll
the
up the
bread.
rice,
and
yeah.
yeah.
That's a cultural point. You could have something that he would just be doing, and they would be like, "You're disgusting. Do it like this."
So I'm imagining a point almost immediately later, after Kelvin and Malcolm get this moment where it's been like a week, and now Malcolm knows more words. Kelvin is borrowing some of Malcolm's words that Kelvin doesn't really have an analog for to explain things to Malcolm. But I'm not sure what information should pass in that scene because that's just literally the setup. That's the context.
The first time he uses a human word, just pick the human word he uses.
Okay.
Toilet.
Poop.
No.
Points to the hole. Poop.
Maybe planet, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't know about planets.
Or Earth.
I'm trying to think of what they'd be talking about because now, I mean, they're really conversing, but it's on a very rudimentary level between two people who've been just in the same room for.
Would Malcolm still be thinking that he's an alien and he's like, I'm from up there?
Yes. Yeah. And Kelvin is like, no, you're not. That there is no up there. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, like I've seen people before.
Yeah.
That could be a good interesting thing. I'm wondering how a scene like that could go down. This is my main concern. This is what I'm.
Well, I mean,
running into
it's like so many movies have done this, but and stories, not just movies, but either take it or leave it. But like just the scene of they introduce each other by name. Maybe he brings him food, and he's just like, okay, Kelvin, and like he's saying his name, and he's like you, and he's like, oh, Malcolm, and Malcolm's seen
I've
movies.
already written that.
No, that's fine. No, I know. I'm saying,
that's what I wrote,
but to me,
yeah.
the next logical step is Kelvin could point to his home and be like,
Already did
whatever.
that.
And he's like, and then he's like, you? And then he's just like, Malcolm thinks he's like, well, he's not from here. He's like, no, I'm from like up there. And Kelvin's just confused and just like, what? It's like Kelvin can then start mentioning like, no, you're from whatever village,
Yeah.
like you're from whatever. And and of course Malcolm doesn't understand, but he's just like, no. So it's like their confusion about where he's from. To me, is interesting. Every other movie or story where this has happened, he's like, I'm from a place called Earth. And they go, ooh. this is the first time I think in a story where he says, "No, you're not. You're from here," and I know, and
Yeah.
that to me is interesting because it's like, wait a minute, how does he think he knows where he's from?
And then I like Doug's idea of like kids be like, "You're from dirt." Like what?
Earth.
Earth?
Earth. That means dirt, right?
Yeah, the idea of
Where they would even know a handful of human words to begin
Yeah.
with.
knowing that Kilvin knows where he's really from tells me more
has
about
to-
his story and like what
Yeah.
the and where
And
and
that's
where
a
they're
good
And
idea.
that has to be
I
a
think
scene.
that's a scene I should start with because I think that the
Have you seen The 13th Warrior?
yes, I've read the book too, Eaters of the Dead.
Okay.
The-
Because that's the thing I immediately go to.
Oh, where he learns the language. I'm not learning the language isn't that big of a deal for me. It's really the scene of what's passing between the two characters and what they're actually talking about. I think that's a great start. I think them talking about he's like, no, you're from here, and Malcolm's like, I promise you.
Yeah, I am
Like,
not
I
from
am
there.
not.
Yeah.
And then maybe the kids overhear that and they start making fun of Malcolm. They're like, ooh, like coming down. for this-
Spaceman!
Yeah,
Spaceman!
The dancing around, like the ring around the posy, spinning around.
Well, that could be your word. Like space could be your word.
But yeah, if they don't know about space or planets, it's like he's like I'm from like up there among like I'm from another like
Yeah, like
star. And like,
space.
oh, he's a starman. It's like star kid.
And I'm trying to I wrote down a name for what the humans were called in this universe.
Long pig.
And I keep thinking of Willow and in term daikini.
Yeah, daikini, yeah,
I love that for humans. It's like it's a daikini baby. I don't like the word I picked. Do you guys have any ideas?
What was the word you picked again?
Yeah.
Ramet.
That's fine.
What's something that's not, it's all, like the thing about daikini was it's almost just like it almost sounds like an insult, but you don't know how. You know,
But the
It's
thing
like-
is, I think Ramen feels the same way.
Almost like peck.
Yeah.
well,
Shut up,
it's like
peck.
well, daikini. It's like it's just a big, like.
That's
think
it,
of
it would be like a description, Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't look favorably upon the humans anyway, right? Like,
What was Ramadi? Nah,
All right.
Ramati. Ramati.
Could that be Wilvix for naked or something?
No, I think it's the actual word because in Willow aren't they actually daikini?
Yeah, that's their name,
That's
yeah,
what they
yeah.
go by in this world.
Oh,
that's
I
what
was
they
thinking
go
it would be
by.
like a pejorative. The
No.
Wilvix would call them.
No, it just is a pejorative.
Yeah, it's like don't act like one of them.
Well, with the so what would the
Yeah,
humans
the thing
call
is-
themselves too? Is the question? It's the same thing. Like what?
Yeah.
So this isn't something that just it's their actual name. The Ramadine sounds like whatever. That's,
Ramati.
Ramati. That sounds more like an individual, not a collective to me.
Yeah, I said Ramet is like I don't know. It sounds too much like rabbit for me.
And also, this is not a bad time to even hint at the fact that when he meets the humans, they don't speak English, right?
No, they speak
Yeah.
they speak a variant of this language.
Okay.
I think it's something more like I was gonna say a word, but I realized it just sounds just like ramen noodles. It's like, but that's not what I was meaning. It's like the ramen or something that's more
The Ramones.
the Ramones.
The Romans.
The Romans. I know them. It's like-
A Roman? No,
A Roman?
No, a Roman. Strike him, Centurion. Very roughly.
That's an interesting quandary.
What's like the center of their culture? Like what's like their
Fire. Thermodynamics. mainly just thermal powered windmills and stuff like that.
I would look into mythology like Loki is a fire god. That's where Loki comes from.
What about Lokinans?
Lokinans?
You're a Lokinan?
I like
Like Loki?
that.
I like that.
But
yeah.
with
yeah.
but Lokeenen?
Yeah.
Nan?
Lokinan? That's not bad. Yeah.
I like it.
Okay. I like the ideas you guys have given me, and that gives me a lot more to work with because I was just
Didn't know where to begin with
I didn't know where to
yeah.
begin. I didn't know what would be entertaining, but I think that introduced you to his children. and
Yeah, I
that-
think the kids are the key because if they're the same age
Yeah.
and he's going to care about them.
and especially
Yeah.
that their behavior he recognizes from having been made fun of.
Because how would he?
That's
I
the thing
guess
too.
he
These
could-
are these sort of like cute little animals that otherwise might be a little endearing, but then they're making fun. Oh, they're making fun of me. Like,
Yeah,
you know, like,
yeah.
Like, he
I've
can
heard that
tell.
tone of voice
Yeah.
before. Yeah.
So thanks, guys. I think that you've helped me out a lot, and I will have more writing for you. I will have writing for you instead of just something I rewrote 90 times trying to get anything workable.
Well, it's not the point to rush a week. It's to have something you
yeah,
like.
the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
and I
It's
think
true.
I think you're right to hone in on scenes more than
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Than
funny
anything
because
else.
because my outline has everything I want to get across, and then one small bullet point within a bullet point I realized has to be a much larger moment, and I didn't know where to begin. So I'll probably have a few more of these to come back to you guys.
I would
with.
much rather have that than trying to rush every week to have something new.
Okay, all right. Well, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Now we're on to the bad story trailers part of the podcast, where we roll the dice, find 3 genres, and then try to pitch a movie to each other with those genres.
Oh, sweaty hands.
And
Old sweaty hands.
once we decide on a movie, we record the trailer. So what's our first roll?
89 bitch.
89 bitch. I've only got regular 89.
Go with that.
Have
That'll
to
work.
do.
Yeah.
Slice of life. Slice of life story.
Didn't we try to do this last time?
No. Is a story that might have no plot.
Oh boy.
Fuck yeah.
but represents a portion of everyday life.
Like Data's Day.
It uses naturalistic representation of real life, sometimes used as an adjective, as in a play with slice of life dialogue.
All right. Slice of life.
Douglas, give
I
me
think
a roll.
that's great. That's
Yeah, no.
What is that? That's
16.
That's 16.
16.
kaiju.
Black comedy. A parody of satirical story that's based on normally tragic or taboo subjects.
Okay. I was like, there's no way the four of us are writing a black comedy.
Fuck that. I'll write that shit right now. Hold on.
I'll write
I-
wordplay.
Wait,
too.
Weren't we writing that with Shaquille O'Neal being the cop?
Yeah. let me read
Yeah.
a parody or satirical story that is based normally on a tragic or taboo subject, including death, murder, suicide, illicit drugs, and war. So-called dead baby comedies sometimes fall under this genre.
Those two fit.
I don't
really
think
well
I've ever
together.
seen a dead baby comedy.
I totally have.
Yeah.
What is it?
Train spotting.
That is not a dead baby comedy.
That's not a comedy. There are
is it not a-
comedic moments. That is not a comedy.
I think
That's-
it's a comedy.
That's more of a slice of life than anything else.
Yeah.
38.
38. Magical Girl.
We already did that.
No,
Gotta
we already
reroll.
did it. Next.
The slice of life is a little too common with that genre.
35.
35. Fairy tale.
All right.
Slice of life, fairy tale, black comedy.
Oh,
Right.
boy.
So literary genre about various magical creatures, environments, etc.
All right. A minotaur who's an insurance adjuster.
Okay, wouldn't a black comedy be more about black comedy fairy tale slice of life would be more about a day in that minotaur's life at the center of a maze waiting for somebody to get to him?
Yeah.
Yeah. But where's
yeah.
the black comedy come in?
Well, because he's like maybe he knows he has to cut the guy's head off. Or no, wait, isn't he loose in the
Yeah.
in the
He's
maze?
loose in the maze.
Okay,
yeah.
so what if he is getting lost and he's like, I'll never find this fucking asshole. He's like,
No, and then he finds and then he
finds the red thread?
He finds the red thread, and he's like,
Oh, he's right
"What
to
is
him.
this?"
Is this serious? Is that serious?
Ooh, I like that a lot because it's the flip of why
Yeah.
he had the red thread in the first place. It leads the Minotaur right to him. I think that's the dark humor.
My first thought was I was trying to think of like a Grimm's fairy tale because like the original Grimm's fairy tales were pretty fucking dark. Like I mean even Snow White had like a dark
yeah, no.
ending, you know. Like
Totally.
and Snow White she dies. Like that's going to be the end. Like Snow White, it's like first of all the evil queen lives and never gets found out that she was the old crone. And then it's like Snow White goes away and she goes to have her wedding, and the evil queen is like, oh man, 3 times I tried to kill her and 3 times I failed. What if this time, because she's getting married, I'm going to make her some wedding shoes that will shrink until it squeezes the blood out of her and she dies on the dance floor. And it's like, that's pretty dark. So I was thinking, like my first thought was, what if it was
It's that shoemaker.
well, no. What if it was just we don't take a literal fairy tale that's already existed, but an evil queen who's trying to kill the young incoming princess, but she keeps trying to kill her, but keeps fucking it up. So it's like it's a story about her trying to murder the younger incoming princess, but the dark comedy of it is that it's about murder, but she can't. She's always fucking up. She can't do it.
Can we create a character whose job it is to supplant all these evil deeds in fairy tales? Like his job is to construct them. Or like where she's like, I can't think of anything to do. How do I kill my granddad? He's like, okay, well, you could do this, you know. And it's just
like
like
the
about
little-
that guy.
Little Mermaid, they make her dance until
evil
she dies.
evil sorcerer tech support.
Yeah, or maybe that's what Rumpelstiltskin does in his normal life, you know.
Yes. And it's a dead baby because he eats babies.
Oh god damn it!
He does want the baby, didn't he?
They
Yeah.
don't tell you why.
It's because he's a changeling and he wants to have a child. Because he's impotent.
That's kind of heartwarming.
Because she was a bad mother for trusting him.
Yeah, it's true. it's like
this baby.
a test he has.
I don't know. So
All right. So who's our main?
He's actually Child Protective Services, and that was a litmus test.
Yeah.
who was our slice of life character?
I really want tech support.
What if we just do, if it's a fairy tale world and it's a world where everyone's always trying to kill each other, and we have the guy who's like giving the advice on how to do it, if he's just like the dark sorcerer who all these queens
I don't
learned
even want to
under
be
or
a dark
whatever.
sorcerer because that's almost a little too high. I like the idea that he would be like tech support level. To me is, and also very much beneath them, they are customers.
So are we telling the story of the man in the mirror on the wall?
Oh my god, yeah.
That's a good one. I do like
gets
the
called
Minotaur
different-
too. But,
I do like Minotaur one as well, but
the
like
Minotaur I like just because be like, oh.
the guy.
What if they know each other? What if they know each other and like the Minotaur's
it's
got
just
his
like
own little
at
mirror?
Well, the whole thing
And they
is,
just complain to each other.
or even, or
he's
the
got a little
all right,
hand mirror. He
the
carries
idea,
with him. He's like, I don't know what to do anymore.
idea
What's
would
it
be-
like for you? He's like, oh god.
what about
He's
like an
"Hey,
after
he's like,
hours?
I got an idea. Why don't you hold me up over the wall and I can tell you if I see him? It's like, oh, he's nearby. You gotta go get him.
But the whole thing is, what if it was just after hours for like fairy tale henchmen?
It's more like Wreck-It Ralph. You know, they kind of meet up after the game.
That's not really black comedy. That's just sort of
That's still
That
slice
could be
of life.
very black.
right, but that's workplace comedy. You know.
It's slice of life.
Yeah.
I mean, it does fit in there. I don't know, but fairy tale, really, I think you have to have fantastical characters.
Yeah, if the
right?
main-
Oh yeah,
the-
no, they
if
would be
you-
minotaurs and
If you do the story of the mirror, but he can go to any mirror, whoever summons him. So it's him going to different places all the time. It's a day in his life going to different. He only gets summoned by evil fucking shitty people who want to murder somebody or they want some of his dark knowledge. No one ever wants to just talk to him. You know, and except the Minotaur. Maybe the Minotaur summons him, and it's like, I just want a friend. Mirror, can
He's
you?
like mirror,
He has like a
mirror,
Minotaur.
mirror, mirror in my hand.
And then it- and
Who's
then the line
ugly-
is-
who's the ugliest in the land? And he goes over, he's like, your mom.
hey
Oh,
Carl,
it actually worked.
hey Carl, what's up? Nothing, just chilling.
It could be an ensemble, right? Where it's more the mirror is the link that links
Is
all
the-
these
yeah.
people together.
Yeah.
links
The
all these
suicide
monsters
fairy
together.
tale suicide hotline.
Oh God, that
Mirror.
is suicide hotline.
That would be the mirror. The mirror would answer to
Minotaur's
all
like,
that shit.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna end it. He's like, no, man, you can't. You gotta
Do it.
You gotta eat these virgins. He's like, no, I'm gonna do it.
I mean,
you have a maze to defend, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Come on.
What do you mean defend a maze? People die in here. Like they get lost all the time. I don't have to defend it from
So
anybody.
you got it so good, man. You can go anywhere. I can only go where a mirror is, and I have to be summoned. He's like, you got a whole maze to wander
Yeah.
through. He's like, yeah, but I've never seen the sun.
He's like, I haven't killed anyone in a month. No one's noticed.
I've never killed anyone.
Yeah.
How do you think that makes me feel?
I like that.
There's something to that.
Okay, why don't we do that? That's our
Yes.
thing. So
Okay.
so the mirror links everybody together. We could say a Minotaur plus another character we can think of, maybe off air.
It's a dragon that he's on a pile of gold, but he's just too fat to leave his cave.
Yeah, he can't. So he can't get any more. And he's like,
mirror, give me.
What, I think it needs to be something darker than a dragon, right? Because like dragons are like magnificent.
Yeah.
And they're, even if they're super evil, they're magnificent.
Lich.
A lich, that's good. Yeah, I like that.
He's like, I can't die, and I'm over all of this shit.
I like the Minotaur because all he does is chop people's heads off.
Once again, this guy, the D&D parallel of like in Dungeons and Dragons, all these creatures are just living in a dungeon waiting for some heroes to come in. So like you just if I mean the one bad guy is the Lich who's living down a dungeon, hasn't seen the sun in a
He's like,
thousand
I
years.
almost want a paladin to come
God,
in
I
and
just
just
realized this-
just kill me.
This sounds so much like that comic.
Steve
that
Lichman.
Steve
Yeah,
Lichman.
yeah, Steve-
That
Well,
is
the
definitely
Steve-
slice of
Steve-
life.
well, Steve Lichman,
black comedy.
The Steve Lichman is a. It's from the Lich's point of view and how he's really not terrifying or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's the other.
He's like,
it's,
you're not
you
a
know,
virgin. You can't kill me.
Get the fuck out of here! It's like unless you can unfuck that girl, there's no way you can kill me.
So I think Lich might be not fairy tale enough,
Okay.
right? I mean, I love it, but
Yeah.
let's who else is like really evil in a fairy
Evil
tale?
Queen is classic. Like even if you do an Evil Queen, that's like the Norma Desmond from Sunset
Yeah.
Boulevard. It's
Yeah.
like, Mira, please tell me how beautiful I am. And he's like, God, again, like every day with this. Like,
Why
all
are
right,
you so fucking needy?
Yeah, you got to get over it,
You're
okay?
so vain.
yeah.
He's like,
gonna come
guess
back
what?
and bite you."
Guess what? Who are you fucking that you need to be so pretty?
Suddenly-
The evil
what-
queen can be in it, but I feel like she's almost a prop for
Yeah.
the real characters. Like the
Right.
real characters be the mirror, the Minotaur, and maybe one other.
What if
Who
like
was the other one? We need to find the other
the
one.
huntsman is just suicidal?
No, it's
he's
out.
gotta deal with
It's
this
fucking
bitch
out.
all
No,
the-
another.
She's
another
always trying
fairy
to-
tale. Another
Maybe
fairy
a
tale.
ghost or
But
something.
I like what about the huntsman. Like she's always dropping hints. Like I think she wants to fuck me.
I almost
don't
want to go.
want to.
I almost want to go headless horseman, who's just like having an identity crisis, and he's like, I don't even know what my face looks like anymore. I don't even know who I am.
What about just like a gnome who lives in a hollowed out tree and just has a piece of glass? Like it's just like I was just thinking something so dumb. Something
Yeah.
just so like a gnome and a minotaur and a mirror, like as the main, like just a gnome that's just living out here in the woods. It's pretty tough. Just like,
I like that. I also like the idea of the headless
He's
horseman.
got a hard life, just like living, eating off mushrooms and shit.
But the headless horseman trying to kill himself without a head. Like,
He's
no,
like,
how
can't
do
be
you
done.
kill yourself
Can't,
without a head?
can't fucking be done.
Can't hang myself.
Can't hang myself. Can't shoot myself in the face. Been trying for so long.
What throat? What am I gonna slit?
No, I get it. The gnome, this gnome character, it's his job to grow the poison food that everyone he always eats. It's like, well, I got some poison apples and a mushroom and.
I'm gonna eat it this time. I'm really gonna do it.
And when I bring it up, no one mentions that they're organically grown, and I take pride in my work. I'm
looking at a list of fairy tale creatures. What was a mummy?
Mummy?
He gives a mummy with a mirror. What's he gonna do with a mirror? Other than talk to this guy. I bet I look terrible under here under all these bandages.
I can't do it. I want to unwrap it, but I just can't.
I'm so scared. Will you help me? Will you tell me the truth?
I just love the idea of someone call up the mirror and they have a poisoned apple. I'm gonna do it this time. I'm gonna fucking eat it. I'm gonna do it, man.
The wolf from Red Riding Hood is just like covered in blood, and he's like, Jerry,
I did it again. Fell off the wagon.
It's like what? It's like the AA buddy. It's like it's the same. I gotta.
All right. I think we got our idea. What do we call it?
Mirror, mirror.
It's a good song by Blind Guardian.
It's also a good episode of Star Trek.
Mirror, mirror, off the wall.
Is it off the wall?
Off the wall.
Off the wall.
Off the wall. Off the wall. Done. Straight up. That's good.
Is that? Wait. What was the Michael Jackson album?
Off the wall.
Yeah.
But that also Vans off the wall.
Man in the Mirror.
Yeah.
I'm asking him to change his ways.
So off the wall.
Off the wall.
For Sterling Scheinman, life in a cursed mirror was not all it was cracked up to be.
Mirror, mirror in my hand. Who's the fiercest in the land?
Your mother.
Ha ha, laugh it up, Chrome Dome. Can you give me a hand?
Did you seriously get lost in your own maze again?
It's not my maze, and it's more difficult than it seems. Help a brother out.
Fine. Hold me over the wall again.
But he was about to discover a fantastic new role. Matchmaker.
There's just no guarantee that there's anything worthwhile out there. At least I know some new girl with an edible grandparent will show up every few days.
Have you ever thought of moving?
It's just boring, being on the same road all the time. I wish I could find someone who appreciates spontaneity. You know? Someone to get lost with.
Get lost? I know a guy.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?
How long do you expect this to last? Another 5 years?
What?
You're 70 years old. Eventually dogs are going to be fairer than you. I doubt there's enough poison in the whole kingdom.
Join your favorite mirror this Christmas in Off the Wall.
Thank you all for joining us for this episode of Bad Storytellers. I'd like to thank my writing group, Doug Banks, Liam Malone, and Max Wessel. All of our writing that we discussed can be found on our website, badstorytellers.com, along with the show notes. And for any questions, suggestions, or cynical critiques of our work, please contact us at badstorytellers@gmail.com. Also, if you dig the show, please leave us a review on iTunes. It really helps us gain visibility among the other writing podcasts. As always, I am Josh LaForge, and I'd like to invite you to join us next week on Bad Storytellers.